So that's how I'm assuming we're going to move forward. That's how I would instruct Tony to prepare the agenda unless I hear a majority objection at this point to not do that.
Okay, so Mayor Gore is going to ask for objections. This is pretty important to listen to as well.
Okay, so I'll ask one more time. I would need to see a majority objection before we move forward with the way that we've laid out. Okay, so I would expect to have information back from Mr. McDonald that if there aren't any legal problems with changing the TIF, that we have non-school TIF legislation ready for Monday's meeting, along with a resolution to withhold the April payment. Certainly not long-term. However, we need to word that to revisit that each month until we can come together with some type of communication plan with the school board.
And what he's talking about right there is changing the non-school TIF into a school TIF. How are they going to get the school district? Are they going to say, well, we'll just keep that money and throw that into the project if you guys don't want to get on board? What is that? Was the former mayor correct when he posted on his blog that this is blackmail? I don't know. I think this is strong-arm political tactics. That's my opinion. It hasn't gone away in the city of Huber Heights, and it won't go away in the city of Huber Heights. You have to pay attention. You have to get on board. You have to be a part of the solution.
Yes, Mr. Shaw.
And then additionally, I don't want to lose sight of the overall communication, the letter that you're going to put together to the Board of Education. I would assume after Monday's vote and whatever we decide to hopefully move them along.
Yes. So I think everybody knows I work for the school, so as long as this council doesn't have a problem with me signing a letter to the school board that
conflict of interest
Mr. Rogers put together, I'd be more than happy to sign that letter.
Mayor, if that puts you in a difficult spot,
it might.
As vice mayor for now, I'd be happy to sign it, and I'm being serious so long as I can agree with it. But I agree with Mr. Shaw. There ought to be communication however the council wants to handle that, but I'd make that offer.
I would be completely fine with the vice mayor signing that letter. Mr. Lyons?
And I would further agree that Mr. Morgan would take on that responsibility as vice mayor.
Yes.
Just to keep the simplicity of a conflict completely out of the equation.
Yeah, and in fact, the main reason that I have been okay discussing this at this point is because it's a non-school TIF. It's a non-participating TIF that we're talking about. Once we enter the realm of if there is anything else that comes back around like that, then certainly I would have Mr. Morgan take
that's certainly at your pleasure, and that's at your decision. But I would just recommend that Mr. Morgan has wise advice, and I would certainly recommend you go that route.
I am 100% okay with that.
Okay. What's the charter say? I mentioned this to someone in private a long time ago, back before the mayor was even elected. Now, were they just talking about the non-school TIF? That was part of it. But then they also talked about, can we switch it from a non-school to a school TIF, yet he remained in the chair. Now, the charter, section 4.06, prohibitions reads, Section A, holding other office, except as authorized by this charter, neither a council member nor the mayor shall hold any other city office or city employment during the term for which said council member or mayor was elected or appointed to council, and no former council member or mayor shall hold any compensated, appointive city office or city employment within 1 year after the expiration of the term for which elected or appointed. I've waited a while to bring that up, and I didn't want to bring it up. But when you're talking about the school district, and it's a serious subject like this, and the mayor runs the meeting and directs traffic away from meeting with the school board, and then council says, no, that's not what we want to do. We want to meet with them. Okay, fine. Then I'll write the letter. No, oh, you don't want me to write the, okay, I won't write the letter. Yeah, that's a better idea, Mr. Vice Mayor. You need to write that letter because, there may be a conflict of interest in there. Anyway, there's a lot to this whole TIF discussion. I don't think we disagree. I don't think many of us would disagree that the road improvements need done. Are there other ideas? More creative financing that can be done? Can you direct staff to, look for other financing that can be done? They've done it before. They're smart people. They're capable of finding other financing before withholding money. Mr. Otto was so right when he said, wait, we're moving way too fast on this. Mr. Morgan has never even, I don't know that the guy has ever been to a school board meeting in his life. I don't know. I know as a elected official, he was not at the 2 meetings prior, yet he's berating this school board, throwing them under the bus. And listen, I'm not, I know it sounds like I'm sticking up for the school board. That's not my point. But my point is this. There's this discussion of withholding funds just out of the blue because that's the tactic we can use is wrong. And if they're going to do this to the city schools and to the kids of that city, what else are they going to do? And you guys thought that you got rid of one council member and this city council was just going to be awesome. Good for you, Mr. Glenn Otto. Good for you. And I hope you win your election in November because they need you. The city of Huber Heights needs you on city council because, all right, I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, boy. I'm just having fun with these podcasts. I really am. And I don't care if they say, well, Matt's in Texas. What's he got to do about the listen? I moved to Texas for 3 years. And I don't care what you have to say because I'm still involved with my hometown that I plan on moving back to in June. June, baby. I'm back. Anyway. Let them say what they want. And I know people have said it. It gets back to me. It's all good. I'm going to continue to do these podcasts. We're going to continue to call out this city council who does not have the best interest for the city of Huber Heights on all things. Let's just say that. On all things. There are some good things that they do, and we have to point that out. And I try. And I have. Okay. And for those of you interested in different legislation coming from the state, being talked about, House Bill 48, sponsored by Representative Greenspan, create local government road improvement funds. That was introduced on 2/12/19. House Bill 84, make private water sewer. That's a different one we can talk about later. House Bill 118 regards student transportation to and from school. Now, in the state of Ohio, I bring this one up because the mayor was talking about the new superintendent is in favor of bringing back busing to the high school. Well, in the state of Ohio, high schoolers are not obligated to be bused to school. So this House Bill 118, sponsored by Representative Manning, maybe you guys call him and say, hey, can you amend this to throw in high schoolers as well? Because the overview of this bill, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of the detailed analysis, but it's the summary says prohibits school districts from reducing student transportation it has opted to provide after the first day of the school year, prohibits a school district from levying a new tax if it has reduced the number of bus routes or transportation it has opted to provide students in the school year for which a levy is proposed. So that's just the summary of this bill. Well, maybe you guys could contact Representative Don Manning, House District 59, and say, hey, what can we do to serve our high school students? What can you guys do to help us out? Who in city council's communicating with the state house? State government. Okay. You guys heard the discussion. I played the highlights for you. I gave my opinion on this whole situation. Yes, that project would be nice to have. Definitely. It's infrastructure. Infrastructure in the city of Huber Heights, especially on that side of town, the south side of town, is huge. So it needs done. And there may need to be other creative ways to get it done. So maybe someone out there can think of an idea that you can bring up and bring to city council. That's what we could do. All right. Check out Truman's Town Hall podcast on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel. This is up as well. Spreaker, the Spreaker app, Stitcher, I believe iHeartRadio. All of those you can listen to this podcast. I'm sorry if I got a little passionate on this. I just find it silly. I do not dislike anyone. I need to make that clear. I don't dislike it. I just dislike some of the ways that governments operate. There's too much bureaucracy involved. There's too much it gives you a headache sometimes, does it not? I don't dislike them. And I know I went hard on some of them and said, hey, this is the way I feel because of that. But it's all done out of peace and love, baby. Peace and love. All right. I'm Matt Truman. Until next week. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm going to check and see if the agenda's up real quick, and we'll see if this stuff's on the agenda. Okay, the agenda for April 8th, 2019, 7 p.m. is up. It's up. You can go take a look at it. Now, none of this stuff, the withholding funds, everything, none of it is on this agenda for the city council work session. So, I wonder if they called heat here at the end of the podcast. Let's see here. We'll just go through the agenda real quick, right? So they have a resolution establishing new salaries for the Huber Heights mayor and city council, first reading. You're not going to put that and this contentious stuff on the same agenda. That's smart. See, politics is good, y'all. Politics is strong in the city of Huber Heights. Agenda item D, an ordinance authorizing transfers between various funds of the city of Huber Heights, Ohio, and amending ordinance number 2018-02357 by making supplemental appropriations for expenses of the city of Huber Heights, Ohio, for the period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019. Let's talk about that real quick before we say goodbye. Okay, there is $1,265,943.30 from a land sale proceeds that were deposited into the general fund and approved for Transformative Economic Development Fund. Has anyone asked the question? Because I know at the last work session, they talked about this item. And during this item, they said, we don't necessarily have a place for this money. Why not direct that money over to, that's $1.2 million. Direct it over to what? The Chambersburg and Fishburg road improvements. Can you do that? That's a question. I don't know. There may be a reason they can't do it. So maybe one of you out there can ask them that question. The carriage trails loan applications on the agenda. The water softening construction is on the agenda. The computer system updates are on the agenda, and a resolution authorizing the city manager to solicit bids and award a contract for the purchase of one half-ton pickup truck. So that's the last item for or not even discussion. They'll just vote on this stuff and move on. But that's the last item. How much you want to bet there's an executive session on Monday night? If we could legally bet. I don't even, Anyway, that's it. That's all I got. I wanted to give you guys the agenda for Monday so you know what's coming up. None of this that we talked about is coming up. They said it was, but it's not. Don't worry about it. They're going to kick the can. Or maybe the school board called them back and said, hey, why y'all talking trash?